Fish and the Jet are here as well. And Jet, I'll start with you because when you look at Ben Simmons, especially because of the whole comments with the booing, there was going to be a lot of attention. What different version of Ben did you see from the first minute of this game?
Well, we got exactly what we were asking for. Put the ball in Ben Simmons' hands and let him facilitate. As you can see, if you look at the starters, the numbers are evenly distributed. 17 from Redick, 23 from Embiid, 19 from Harris. Now, Butler didn't get a lot of looks that he wanted, but for the most part, everybody else was involved, and Ben Simmons came out aggressive from the jump. He was getting downhill, he was getting in the lane, and he was either creating for himself or for others. That's the Ben Simmons that they're going to need throughout the rest of this series if they want to win and go on to the next round.
No question about it. I thought the Sixers, starting with Simmons, played with more force, more energy right from the tip-off. The film didn't lie. A lot of times we think that it's telling us something that it's not. But to me, Simmons right away got into the block, what we talked about in Game 1, putting himself in positions to be successful on his own, without play calls, being more aggressive, using his size, getting downhill. Not just standing, waiting for the basketball, taking advantage of the Brooklyn Nets in that zone, getting into the middle of the defense, and really playing his game. And then here, again, just downhill, getting to the basket. And he played at those angles all night tonight.
He played big. He used his size, right? We talked about this in the pregame. People watch Game 1. It is something that we saw down the stretch of season 2, Jed, is that, look, the question is, are we going to get it every night the rest of the way? Because they're going to need that, forget just this round, if they want to go the distance this year.
No, they'll need it. And again, it was his energy, it was his effort, his willingness to, like you said, mix it up. Come hard at him in transition, get to the paint. In the half court, I'm on the block, I'll flash to the high post, catch the ball, turn and finish, or turn and create. So he had an all-around game tonight, and again, they need it from him. It has to become consistent for them to go on to the next round.
I feel like Chuck Woolery and Scrabble, which all three of us are old enough to have watched, playing off the A in aggression. That was Embiid again. 24 minutes, or 22 tonight, 24 in Game 1. But, Fish, we talked about it. Some of those threes were, his body doesn't feel comfortable banging, getting in there. But there were a couple of times he stood at the three-point line, open shot. They're letting him take it, drove to the bucket. How much more aggressive did you see Embiid tonight?
Yeah, he was much more aggressive, I think, mentally to start out. After playing in Game 1, seeing himself on film and getting that first game under his belt, I think physically speaking, that freed his mind to go out and be himself. He did not settle. There were times where he could have taken threes tonight, but he decided to impose his will on Jared Allen and the Brooklyn Nets. He took the game to them physically as well as Ben Simmons, and I thought those two guys set the tone for everybody else. J.J. Redick cut hard, and he played with more force, and the Sixers, they took this basketball game tonight.
They had outplayed Brooklyn in the first half, but if you didn't see the game, and if you did, certainly you know this, you would know that it was tight. Yeah. A 2-point game. It could have been bigger, but Brooklyn hung in there. That third quarter, these are Warriors type of numbers. A franchise playoff record for a quarter, 51, Jet, in that third, 10 of them from Mike Scott. What did you see in that quarter? Because that was really the difference maker in this basketball.
Well, I thought they were just more aggressive and more assertive. If you watch Brooklyn, they definitely missed Ed Davis's presence and Dudley's presence on both ends of the floor. But talk about Mike Scott. He was efficient tonight. He got his shots in rhythm. But I think it was really because of the attention that Ben Simmons was getting because of his aggression. Getting inside, getting to the paint. Now the traffic comes, and boom, here's Mike Scott standing on the perimeter where he's most comfortable, knocking down threes. Tobias Harris as well was a recipient of Ben Simmons' penetration tonight, getting those kickouts for threes from the corner and trailing in transition.
You guys know this, especially if you're looking at a situation where a team is saying, I can't let Dirk, can't let Shaq beat me. If you're going to get shots, you got to make those shots. Now, normally we're looking at guards. Boban.
Hey.
Okay? Because they were literally, like you were talking about backing off Ben, they were giving Boban enough room to just go out there and dance like it was his own show. He showed range, 7 for his first 11 from the floor. He was a big factor tonight, Fish, for this team.
With confidence, and I think that's what we all love about watching him play, listening to his interviews, is that he's a confident dude.
Yeah.
And that's how he played the game tonight. He wasn't afraid of the moment. When he was open, he shot the basketball. This is something he's worked on before. He wasn't just trying something new.
His touch is okay, too, by the way, for a big dude, right?
He wasn't just trying something new all of a sudden in the playoffs. He's capable of making that shot. He stepped up and made it. And that's how you earn the trust of your teammates.
Yes.
Jet, you know, playing with great players, when that ball comes to you, you have to show them that you've earned their trust in giving it up. And Boban did that tonight.
One thing the Nets have always done, and we talk about it with both these games tonight because the Clippers bench has probably the best 1-2 punch when you look at Lou Will and Harrell. That second unit always has the advantage. And even tonight, they did by a small margin because Dinwiddie is a bench player and so is LeVert. But without Ed Davis, they got doubled up in rebounds tonight, and that's a major, major factor. Only played 5 minutes. He gave it a go, wasn't healthy. Dudley didn't play. How much was that and those second chance points a big issue for them? Because we know they could take you off the dribble, but they really didn't have multiple opportunities.
No, they never were able to get those multiple opportunities, which a lot of times leads to three-point baskets for the Brooklyn Nets. Now, they still played their style of ball free and loose, and they shot a lot of threes. But for me, they just looked a little lax, Fish. And you know, what's the company line? We already stole one. I mean, we playing with house's money. We're going home after this. So they didn't really show up with that same intent, that same mindset of we need to get a win. It was kind of like we already got one. If they give us this one, we'll take it. But we're not going to go out here and force the issue.
I thought the first half they did. And I think in the third quarter when they got hit in the mouth, it was different.
Yeah.
I think in that third quarter, those are the thoughts that started to creep in. Like, this is going to be hard to win this game tonight. We've done a lot of work. We had a good first half. We got one in the first game. All right, it's their turn tonight. And you could see it just opened up and separated from there.
We're going to hear from both coaches. You'll also get a chance to hear from Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, in particular on the net side. And I think it's important to point out something you watched develop in this game. We talked about it after game one. Even though Brooklyn can hit a lot of threes, once they saw Redick and others they could exploit, they were driving, right? You guys both talked about it in our pregame, attack, attack, attack. If you go back to it, I bet you Kenny does, from a coaching standpoint, that third quarter especially, they started to panic a bit by taking bad threes. And you saw them, instead of slowing that pace down, Fish, I thought really kind of play into Ben's hands with long rebounds by some of those misses. Not Dinwiddie as much. He seemed to drive. But LeVert, I think, and Russell were taking some bad threes, no?
Yeah, they were, in particular without much movement. You know, the earlier ones in the clock, maybe coming off the initial drag screen right away, no pass shots. But it's something that they do use to stay in the game, to get separation in games. It's a part of their identity. And so it'll be an adjustment for them. This is a team that's the first time in this position, understanding that you can't always rely on shooting the three in order to get back in the game or stay close in games. Understanding when it's time, like the Sixers. Instead of settling for threes, I'm going to the rim, I'm going to attack, I'm going to be aggressive, get to the foul line, and then that allows our defense to get set more often.
You guys know this. I think there's a game plan going in, right, in a playoff game. I think it's any sport, and then it's kind of just on the fly. We were talking about this. When you're seeing them get away and that lead is kind of expanding, you saw Russell at one point was on the bench while Dinwiddie and LeVert. Now, they've got their set ways that they handle the three guards. Do you wonder, do you think Kenny maybe should think about in situations like that, put all three out there, Jet? Because defensively, if they're all out there, you're going to have at least one guy at every time who could break somebody down off the dribble, get to the basket.
Well, playing the three smaller guard definitely poses a matchup problem for Philadelphia. They just don't have the guard depth to match up. But on the other hand, defensively, they're at a huge disadvantage because you're talking about Ben Simmons 6'9", 6'10", and B 6'10", then Jimmy Butler 6'7". So that size is a factor, and so it's kind of hard to play that lineup for long periods of time. But it would be an effective one, especially going back home in Brooklyn, where we know they're going to be letting that thing fly. They may go small and be effective.
Yeah, Dinwiddie 8 of 16 off the bench. Really, Hollis Jefferson was good. Most of it was late. But other than that, they didn't get much without Davis and Dudley playing.
Yeah, and in particular, I mean, I think their total number of points was really high. I think the bench still scored a crazy number, like 75 points or more. But the impact in terms of being doubled up on the boards, I think that Jared Dudley and Ed Davis, they provide timely offensive rebounds. Jared Dudley is good in rotation, taking charges, you know, helping do little things that are winning plays that they missed a little bit.